Hi folks, today I am at Colinton Tunnel. Now this little tunnel was built in 1874 and carried goods and services up until 1967. For most of the years it's been quite a dark, dank tunnel, but now over the last couple of years it has transformed into an artistic masterpiece. I'm going to show you one side, which is a poem to Robert Louis Stevenson called View from a Railway Carriage, and on the other side is a selection of murals from local primary schools and art clubs and community centres. So without further ado, let's go and see it. So his poem runs down the left hand side of the tunnel and I'm going to narrate it to you. Faster than fairies, faster than witches, bridges and houses, hedges and ditches, and charging along like troops in a battle. All through the meadows, the horses and cattle. All of the sights, all of the hill and the plain fly as thick as driving rain. And ever again, in the wink of an eye, painted stations whistle by. Here is a child that clambers and scrambles. All by himself, gathering brambles. Here is a tramp who stands and gazes, and there is the green for stringing the daisies. There is a cart run away in the road, lumping alone with man and load. And here is a mill, and there is a river, each a glimpse and gone forever. View from a Carriage by Robert Louis Stevenson. Hiya. And then we come to this magnificent mural here, depicting people of note throughout the years, local Colinton characters from Colinton village. And then we have the tunnel, the train coming out the tunnel, as it was a passenger train up until 1943. Isn't that magnificent? And then if we come over here, we'll find the artist and the creator of this masterpiece. This is Chris Rutherford. This is his vision. And this is the theme. This is Robert Louis Stevenson, sitting in a railway carriage, writing from a railway carriage. The other link to Robert Louis Stevenson is him living with his grandfather in Colinton Parish Church, where he used to come in the summer because he had bad asthma, or bad chest as it was known then. And then as we come up here, we come to a horse and cart, which I believe to be Tam O'Shanter by Robert Burns at the Brig of Doon. There we go. And then lots of little murals from local primary schools. That's Colinton Primary School. And this here is the creator again, Chris Rutherford, with his dog, looking across to here is a tramp who stands and gazes. What a masterpiece. I've been coming through here since I was a little boy, and when I was a little boy there was hardly any light here and it was thick with puddles. This is just a masterpiece. Look at the rainbow going right across the tunnel, and the beautiful thistles on the left there. Look at this. And then coming up on the left we have a tribute to the local army regiment. Here we have the piper. Royal Scots Dragoon Guards, Argyll and Sutherland Highlanders, King's Own Scottish Borderers. Wonderful. And here we have the Aqueduct, which is just outside the tunnel. And then there's the passenger train, which ceased to operate in 1943. And that's the official name there, Easter Hales Gate. So after closing in 1967, the Water of Leith walkway was formed, and from 1973 onwards it was used for recreation, for just people to go nice walks. And this little step here takes me down to Spilo House, which was a snuff mill for a local businessman called James Gillespie. And here, just here on the Water of Leith, you can still see an old mill wheel and the Water of Leith running, which runs 26 miles from the Pentland Hills right down to the Port of Leith. And this here is Spilo Park, and this beautiful building on the left here is Spilo House. Yeah, so this magnificent house was built in 1773, and it had a snuff mill attached to it further up in the park, and it's a fantastic example of Georgian architecture. James Gillespie never married and left the sum of £12,000, which was an absolute fortune in those days, to establish a hospital in Edinburgh known as James Gillespie's Hospital, and nowadays it's known as James Gillespie's High School. So this is Spilo House, and this would have been his estate. Nowadays it's a public park called Spilo Park. As we come out of Spilo Park, we come into Colinton Dell. Now, if you've got that little lane there, that takes you to Colinton Village, up a little flight of steps. But we're going to head down to Colinton Dell, to Colinton Parish Church. Incidentally, if you do get a little bit thirsty after your visit, you can always pop in here. Spylaw, cracking little pub. You can get your car sorted at the same time. So down here, into this little village called Colinton Dell, is Colinton Parish Church. Now this is where Robert Louis Stevenson's grandfather was the minister, and his name was Lewis Balfour, and that is where Robert Louis Stevenson gets his middle name. His real name is Robert Louis Balfour Stevenson, after his grandfather, but he wanted to be a bit more artistic and call himself Robert Louis Stevenson. Now as we come to the bottom of the hill here, have a look at these little flight of steps. This is the bottom of the Robert Louis Stevenson trail, and it's quite a steep flight of stairs, but at the very top you'll see Robert Louis Stevenson's face, telling you that that's the start of the trail. And so we're going to turn around and then head across there. Through the trees you'll see a little church, and that's where we're heading. So as we approach Colinton Parish Church, we have the statue of a wee boy, and this is here because this is a statue of Robert Louis Stevenson, and this is where he used to come and stay with his grandfather, who was the minister of Colinton Parish Church behind us. So Lewis Balfour was the minister here in the early to mid 1800s, and the church was actually rebuilt in 1908, and that tower that we're looking at dates back to about 1837, but the actual guts of the church date back to about the 1650s, and it's a wonderfully peaceful church with some macabre remindings of the resurrectionists. This here is known as a mort safe. Now, this would have been placed upon a fresh grave to protect the body from resurrectionists. Up until 1832, this was definitely a problem, and they had to change the law to stop bodies getting taken to the medical school for dissection. And as we come along here, we come to the tomb of James Gillespie, who is buried there with his brother. He died in 1797 and has a bigger house in death than some folk have in real life. And just as we scoot around here, you'll see the grave of Lewis Balfour, the grandfather of the author Stevenson. So So guys, I hope you enjoyed my little video of Colinton Tunnel, Spilo Park and Colinton Parish Church. Hope you all have a nice day, and if you like my videos, please give me a like and subscribe to my YouTube channel where I'll leave a link. Thank you.